Hi, my name is Joyce Xu, and I'll be going over my final project for Informatics 283. This is a usability testing report on Honda Motor Company. So I kind of want to first introduce, the problem as well as a little bit of overview about the target client. The target client is Honda Motor Company. It's a Japanese auto manufacturer founded in 1949. They first actually operated as a motorcycle manufacturer, and interestingly enough, they expanded into the automobile space, and it's definitely paved the way for their success since. So today, Honda is known as an innovative company and continues to be a leader in the mobility and automotive industry, committed to excellence, sustainability, and safety. Over the course of 3 months, we conducted 4 evaluations. In January, we conducted the phase 1, which is a heuristic evaluation. Phase 2 was a cognitive walkthrough, and we did that and completed that in February 2018. Just this past month, we did another, phase 3 competitor analysis, and the focus of this today's presentation is going to be about phase 4, and which is the usability testing. So kind of a recap for phase 1, during our heuristic evaluation, we used Jacob Nielsen's 10 usability heuristics to kind of, assess the current interface. And in that report, we identified 6 positives and 10 negatives. Phase 2, we conducted a cognitive walkthrough using the core tasks on the right. Basically, the purpose of this walkthrough was to analyze the usability and flow of the build and price task. This identified 2 issues on the step 4's customized vehicle task. For phase 3, we conducted a competitive analysis, and we actually learned, about some of Honda's direct competitors. So Toyota is definitely one of them, Nissan. And we also looked at their indirect competitors and also influencers in their space. So for this report, phase 4 in this 3-month long process, I'm going to be talking about the usability testing report and how that went with our team. So I want to first introduce this by going through the methodology and how we evaluated and chose our criteria. But first I want to talk about what is a usability test. So the purpose of this usability test study is to help us understand what our users think and how they feel by observation. So we do this by allowing them to access a couple of tasks that were pre-chosen, and they interact with the interface by completing the tasks. And the goal is to improve the product based on the results of the study. So in a typical usability test, real users actually try to accomplish these tasks, like I had previously said. And why is this important? Well, we are not our users, so we need to test these products before we, put them into production. Testing on our target users is crucial and can lead to increased user satisfaction, confidence, and trust in the brand or the product. So the method that we chose was unmoderated remote usability testing. And what this means is that there was no moderator present, and participants were giving a series of tasks and questions from written task instructions. And the advantages of this method was that there was less room for moderator bias. Also, we could reach a larger demographic, and the turnaround time was actually pretty fast. For study goals, we grouped them into 3 buckets. The first one being ease of use. So how easy was it to complete this task? Second being how easy is it to learn? So do users know how to find what they're looking for? And do users know how to use the build and price tool to get a quote on a vehicle? The final study goal is engagement. Do users trust in the brand? And do users enjoy the Honda online experience as a whole? Our process, we spent some time doing some pre-planning and wrote up our test plan. And then we launched these tests on 2 platforms, Loop 11 and usertesting.com. We then recruited test participants to take these tests. And finally, we analyzed the results from our findings. So like I had mentioned, we are using user testing and Loop 11. For participants, we were randomly given 3 participants to test our interface on usertesting.com. And for Loop 11, we actually surveyed 190 people. So these people were both male and female, aged 25 to 40 years old, their primary language being English. And one of the criteria was they had to have purchased or leased a car in the past 5 years. So some key findings that I want to cover mainly talks about what did we discover, in our report, in our analysis. So for task 1, which was select the 2018 Honda CR-V, and we used this question, how easy was it to complete this task on a scale of very easy to very difficult? 92.7% of our participants on the Loop 11 test actually scored a 3 and above, which is really good because that means it was very easy for them to navigate. Task 2, build and price a vehicle, and how easy was it to complete this task on the same scale, 88%. This is talking about average time on task. So for the 2 previous slides I had introduced, 61.8 seconds was the average time on the select CR-V task, and 108.6 seconds was the average time on the build and price task. This is just a quote from one of our qualitative studies from the usertesting.com website. And this participant says, I like the large-scale car imagery in rich colors. Reads as super clean and refined. Also, the ease of differentiating between the 5 Accord models and then the build tool on my preferred version was ultra simple, straightforward, visually engaging, and therefore fun. And another quote, I loved how easy and functional it was. Nothing about it felt difficult or bothersome. It was a very pleasant experience that I really enjoyed. I also loved the element of excitement that was there. Also, when building the car, it had a lot of the options right on the side and created no hassle with it. I like that as well. So we kind of went over some high-level statistics and data, but now I kind of want to talk about the 5 negative findings that we had discovered. And I kind of ranked them in like a severity ranking system. So 3 dots meaning it's a major usability problem and it has a significant potential impact on usability. 2 dots means it's a minor usability problem with low impact, or low priority, excuse me. And cosmetic problem, fix if there's time and if it's easy. So for the first negative finding, this has to do with page loading time, and we've discovered that it's actually on the slower side. Users have reported that various pages on the Honda domain take a longer time than to load compared to other websites, and this can kind of cause the experience to lag. We don't want to keep our users guessing what's going to happen. So the recommendation here is to increase the speed of the site by lightening the pages, compressing images and videos where possible. The next negative finding is that the first impression makes or breaks the user experience. So participants have actually reported that the homepage does not resemble a major car brand. And that's a very interesting observation, and that was also a very surprising fact, I guess, because being a large U.S. car manufacturer brand, Honda needs to take this point seriously. So the recommendation here is to This can actually impact how users feel when they see the homepage, and how it affects what their next action is. The next finding has to relate with the build and price tool. And actually, upon completion of the build and price tool, one of our participants expected that they can order from Honda or contact a dealer to test drive. And this was a very interesting insight as well, because as the user is going through the build and price tool, the user is actually presented with some options, right? It says to contact a dealer or get a request, download the brochure. So this can kind of cause some confusion. Does the user, are they able to order the car or contact the dealer or reserve a test drive? Like, these are the things that we, I guess, that needs to be answered. And the recommendation here is to perhaps allow potential buyers the option to order online or search inventory that matches their custom build. Or better yet, provide an alternate option for them to schedule a test drive. And the goal here is to allow your potential customer the option to have one step closer to get to purchasing your vehicle. The next negative finding is that in the build and price tool, the verbiage used to describe the features may be unclear for newer shoppers. So we've discovered several instances where page load was slow, but also what does the acronym mean? What does CVT mean? Is it automatic or manual transmission? And the recommendation here is to make sure acronyms and our verbiage used in this tool on the site has a clear explanation. And one of the overall generic stats that we discovered was 60% of our users, they were able to navigate easily through the website, so that's a good sign. The Net Promoter Score turned out to be a 67, which was pretty good. And I kind of want to conclude this by, talking a bit about a recommendation. So very high level, based on our study goals, ease of use, easy to learn, and engagement. We have 5 final recommendations, and the first point under ease of use is to lighten up the pages in this domain, compress images and videos where possible so the speed of the page can be faster. For easy to learn, we would recommend using recognition over recall and making sure acronyms and our verbiage tools used in the build and price tool have a clear explanation to the user. And finally, on engagement, we want to recommend Honda to be mindful of the graphics and images used on the homepage, since this is the very first thing that users will see, and it makes a huge difference. Once users goes through the build and price tool, we want to allow them to view inventory or schedule a test drive. It takes a lot to get them, from their house to the dealership. So if there's an automated way where they can schedule advance, that would really help with the buying experience. And that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation.